Here on the Rich Couch, we want to help you enrich your conversations,
enrich your relationships,
so that you can
enrich
your life. Boom.
So thank you for coming back. Again, my name is Deborah, and this is my husband.
Kevin Rich, remember I work for her full time.
Yes, he works for me. He's my Instagram husband.
Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, comment, share it with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, do so. YouTube, do so. Spotify, do so as well. Please don't forget to do that. All right?
Yes, please. So in our first initial launch video, I didn't get to share this, but I wanted to share with you some of our values. And this can also be found on the website, therichcouch.com. So we look forward to open and honest dialogue. We value what others have to say on relationships in order to create a safe and enjoyable space for everyone. Check out our ground rules. So disagree, but don't disrespect. We want to hear your comments, but we want everyone to be respectful in the comment sections. Embrace, but don't enable. We don't want anyone to enable any unhealthy or unproductive behaviors on this space. Preach, but don't push. Share your passion, but don't push your points on others. That's no fun, right? So, and a little bit about ourselves. We both come from faith in God.
Yes.
We both believe that God provides hope through His Son, Jesus Christ. But that's what we believe.
Right.
If you believe differently, that's okay.
You're still welcome here on the Rich Couch. And honestly, welcome. What's good is with these ground rules that Deborah shared, they're also good ground rules for good conversation with others.
Yes.
So read those ground rules again.
I'm going to read them again. So, disagree, but don't disrespect.
Right. So, obviously, in good conversation, we may not always see eye to eye, or you might even, when having conversations with others, might have moments where you disagree with them. But we want to say, even in your conversations with others, if you disagree, it's okay to disagree.
It's okay.
Just don't be disrespectful at the same time. Then you had
embrace, but don't enable.
Right. So it's okay for me to embrace you with what you're going through or how you're feeling. But at certain points in relationships and conversations, you want to ensure that I can embrace and have empathy with how you're doing, but I don't want to enable you to keep making the same mistakes or perhaps something that could be detrimental to your well-being.
Correct.
Right?
And last one, preach, but don't push.
Right. We mentioned that we are Christians, but we're not going to use that to shove it down your throats. And same thing for you in your conversations with other people. You may have a view or a value or maybe even something that you truly believe, and you can share that, but just help not to push or force that down anyone's throat to allow people to think for themselves as well. Right? Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we started a new series today.
Yes.
And
so
what's the series called again?
It's a mini series that I thought would be really good. It's called the Honeymoon Phase.
The Honeymoon Phase?
The Honeymoon Phase. And so specifically today, we're going to be talking about expectations. I love talking about expectations.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about the honeymoon phase? What people got to realize is that it's okay to have one.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's okay to have one.
Absolutely.
And if anything, in the beginning of your relationship, if you're not even having a honeymoon phase, it's probably scary. Now, granted, there's different people in different seasons of life. Maybe you've remarried. Maybe you're in a different season where it's not about the honeymoon season or phase. But just want people to know that it's okay to have a honeymoon phase.
Absolutely.
Right.
We need a honeymoon phase. But with us today specifically, I want to talk about expectations. And, and with the honeymoon phase, I'm just going to say that we're thinking this would be the first year to maybe the second or third year of marriage. Okay. So that's what we're talking about, the honeymoon phase. So we'll talk about what we experienced in our honeymoon phase. And honey, we still honeymooning, okay?
That's right.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, so that's what I would generally say, maybe the honeymoon stage. Okay, so I wanted to share with you guys, I shared already, I do have a blog page, and I shared an expectations post back in May. So I'm going to just read a quick excerpt from that. What does your expectations look like this week? That was my opening statement. We sat down as a couple and decided to reevaluate our expectations of one another. Expectations can be a touchy subject, but it will save your marriage before and after it starts. Your spouse and you grew up in two different homes, right? and witness examples of gender roles, norms, and responsibilities of what a wife or what a husband is. Warning. If you walk into your marriage and expect your husband or your wife to just know what you expect, there will be many fights and many petty comments to come.
And look, I looked up on dictionary.com. An expectation is it's a few things here. It says the act or state of looking forward or anticipating, or looking forward to or anticipating something, as I just mentioned. So an expectation is something that you would like to anticipate or something that you would like to look forward to.
Right.
And if you can see, she kind of had like some unhealed bitterness there, because she's saying just know. And I don't know why I keep looking up at that thing. The camera's right here. I'm gonna get that right. But it's important for us to have these conversations of what expectations might be and expectations we might have, because we all have them.
We all have
expectations.
Everybody's guilty.
We all have expectations.
We all have expectations.
Right, and we can't expect the spouse to just know. That's why it's important to talk through those expectations and share those expectations. I got a question for you though, Deb. Why are the expectations important to discuss?
I think expectations are important to discuss because, like I said in the blog post, we came from two different homes. Like in our case, we're both Haitian American. Yeah. So we came from the same cultural background, but we still came from two different homes, raised from two different sets of parents with different families and different cultural norms in the house. So I can't just expect, oh, he's Haitian or he's black, and he'll just do what I expect here. He'll do how my dad did it, how my brother did it. That's unfair and unrealistic, even if we came from the same cultural background.
That's crazy, actually. She said the word unrealistic. We're going to say it's organic. Why? So are there expectations that are realistic and expectations that are unrealistic?
That's a good question. I think it's a little bit of both because, for example, I have an expectation for you to love and respect me. To me, that's realistic in any relationship. I would hope it's realistic. But maybe it's unrealistic for me to expect you to splurge on me every week on a shopping spree. That's not happening in our relationship, by the way. But yeah, so I think there are some realistic, healthy expectations in a marriage, in a relationship, and there's some unhealthy, unrealistic expectations.
That's so good. Some unrealistic expectations can lead to things that are unhealthy, because if we go spending and splurging, we'll be in debt and we won't have any place to live, and that's not going to be healthy. Also, too, some unrealistic expectations. Sometimes what we're learning is expectations that perhaps that she can't meet.
Right.
And that's a tough.
Or he can't meet.
Yeah, that's a tough thing sometimes. So, for example, I am open to, I do see a therapist. Mm-hmm. I do believe in therapy, and I even support my wife in taking this journey of this field that she's getting into as a student at Nova, trying to study
MFT, Marriage and Family
MFT,
Therapy.
right?
Yeah.
LMFT. She has all these acronyms. For me, I'm a pastor at a church, or one of the pastors at a church, and we don't have those kind of acronyms. We just have BIBLE, right? CLC. So I don't know no MFT. I don't have that stuff. What am I talking about? Expectations. Gosh, so I see a therapist because there are some things that I'm dealing with emotionally and mentally that's not going to be realistic for me to expect Deborah to be to specialize in. And what are you doing? Chinese moves?
No,
that was bad. Not Chinese moves. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I meant karate. that's what I meant. Yeah. We're gonna probably need to cut that part out. Yeah. Maybe probably cut that out. Anyway, come back. Because she's doing, I don't know what kind of move she was doing.
Back to focus.
Whatever. But this is what I'm trying to say. Jeez.
Say it. Say it.
All right. I see a therapist because there are certain things that I'm dealing with that Deborah is not trained in terms of as a professional to help bring support to, as well as it's not realistic for me to have that type of a load to expect her to be the person to fully unpack. Now, should spouses be there for their spouses emotionally?
Absolutely,
Yes.
yeah.
Be there as they're, maybe going through some tough parts? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point where I know the things that I've kind of been dealing with that are a little bit deeper it's going to be probably more helpful for me to not have the expectation for her to be able to meet those deep emotional needs that, number one, I can only find in God, because that's the belief that we have.
Right.
And God, I do believe, uses therapists to be able to help kind of unpack some of these areas so that I can continue to be healthy. Right. And that's a good thing. You can't an unrealistic expectation is looking to your wife to fulfill all of your needs, like your emotional needs.
Yeah.
You should be able to look to your spouse to fulfill some needs, but every single need cannot be fulfilled by your spouse in terms of where you might need more help. Now, I don't mean that in a way like you go cheat on your wife or cheat on your husband.
Right.
That's not what I mean. I'm just saying that there are certain things in terms of health, well-being, that may require for you to bring in some professional help.
Right. Just like if I were to have like any health issues, I'm not going to you and say, Kevin, I have a fever. Can you prescribe me medication, or can you help me out? Yes, I need you for emotional support, but I'm going to go to a professional to get, guidance in that area to deal with my health.
I did, also too, another unrealistic expectation perhaps might even be, what you said, maybe wanting you to cook every day.
Yeah,
3 meals a day.
That's a really good example, because how we grew up, our moms cooked every single day.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner. And for us, that was not happening.
No,
it's not that I was not going to cook.
Or that you're a bad wife.
And it's not that I'm a bad wife, but I'm just not going to cook a meal every single day. Now that we're in COVID, things have changed a little bit, so I had to adjust even that expectation. But when we first got married, we're talking about the honeymoon stage. That was not a realistic expectation.
Right. We're working. We're heavily involved in our church.
Heavily involved in church.
There's just so much. To try to fulfill that expectation would have been stressful.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have helped anything.
It would have been so stressful. Yeah, it really would have.
Another question: does expectations evolve?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that question. I do think expectations evolve. Why? Because your relationship evolves. Your relationship from day one, when you started dating or talking, whatever people call it now, to being engaged, to being married, your first few years, things are going to evolve. Things are going to change. So, for example, within the first, few years, you can have a job change. For us, it's your first time living together. We didn't live together prior to getting married, so that was a big change in our relationship. We don't have kids, but for our friends, a lot of our friends are having their first baby, their first child right now. So many expectations just in talking to them. There's a lot of expectations there because now they have a child. It's no longer just the two of them. So their relationship has evolved from 2 to 3,
Right.
So I think expectations do evolve, and it's so important for couples to talk about that, and not just, expect, well, there's a job change, you need to know what to do, you need to know how to shift, or there's a baby now, you need to just know, no, can we talk about this so we can figure out what are the expectations here, what do you need from me, what do I need from you, so that our relationship can continue to be healthy.
Right. And it's okay if seasons change, and and giving yourself some grace and being patient to know that maybe what I needed in one season, I don't really need it in this season. Or I probably didn't need something in another season. I probably do need some more of that in this season. Yeah. And it's good to have those rich conversations.
Yeah. So you can enrich your relationship.
Right. So you can enrich your life. Yeah. But it's important to know that things change and things evolve. So remember, we're doing this to say, look, we want to help you to enrich those conversations. We know that we're not experts. We don't know everything. However, but if you can enrich those conversations, your relationships can be enriched. So expectations, man, that's so good, Deborah. I'm so glad you broke that down, because expectations are things that help enrich your relationships, and having conversations on expectations are very helpful. But we don't want to make this too long because we know that we've got a lot going on. But what would you want the people that's watching or listening to take away from this
Okay.
conversation of expectations?
The main takeaways I would say is if you are engaged and you're watching this, I would implore you, I would beg you to make sure you discuss your expectations. Now, you can do this whether you're seeing a couples therapist or you're doing in premarital counseling or you're doing premarital counseling with your pastor. Make sure you discuss those expectations. Simply saying, this is what I expect from you. What do you expect from me? Before you get married, I really feel like that saved us so much headache and so much fights by having the expectation conversations in premarital counseling. And how Kevin is all planned out, he would type down his expectations and ask me to type up my expectations too before we went into marriage. Now, let's say you're already married, you've been married for a year, you've been married for 2 years, so you're in your newlywed phase. Revisit the expectation conversation. Why? Because you're no longer, in the engaged glow. Now you're in the honeymoon season and, you've been living together for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years. And I'm pretty sure some expectations have evolved, like we said. So revisit the expectations conversation, even in your honeymoon phase of your relationship, because I'm pretty sure a few things have changed. There may be some adjustments that need to be made.
That's good.
With a new job, a new ministry role in our case, a move. There's going to be some expectations that need to be revisited in order for our relationship to stay healthy and thriving, and we can continue that honeymoon phase.
Yeah. So this is just episode 1 of the mini series.
Episode 1.
Don't miss the next one. Thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, this is the Rich Couch. We want people to enrich their conversations,
Enrich your relationships, and enrich your life.
All right.